Okay. I want to thank everybody for joining us on the 274th convening of the Broadband Hui. Let's see. And I think we have quite a nice little crowd here. We've got a we've got a pretty full agenda, so um I'm oh, where's okay, hold on. Let me make sure I get one of our speakers in here. Here we go. And if in the meantime, while I'm talking, go feel free to drop your info in the chat, and you can drop your organization, or if you want share your contact, feel free to do that as well. Okay. And of course, let's see if I should well, I don't need to introduce Roger. He's pretty well known. He's gonna be one of our speakers. And of course, Gordon is new, but I'm gonna save that intro for a little later. And then let's see. Oh, good. We got Janine and William. William, you're from DCCA, right?
Hey Bert, yeah. Yes, I am.
Okay,
We
okay,
acknowledge
good.
you when I join these meetings when I represented Christine Sakuda.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and start off with our Manao of the day. And for this particular Manao of the day, now, if you guys have any ideas on what you'd like me to go do some research on, I'm happy to do that. In this particular case, I went ahead and did a bit of research on a phrase that came up um, in one of my recent chats, and I wanted to just spend a short moment on this concept of kapu aloha. And you'll probably hear something about it as we go through the rest of the year, especially given the fact that there's some um, events coming up, and this year actually does mark the 50th anniversary for the Protect Kaho'olawe Ohana, and they're landing on Kaho'olawe back in 76. And Kapu Aloha is the kind of sacred discipline, and you can look it up because the link that I have, on this is some definitions that Kamehameha School published. It's a sacred discipline of conduct rooted in deep respect, restraint, and love. And this is, I think, largely, in terms of um, folks that have been, fighting to get whether it's recognition or acknowledgement, and it could be everything from, you know, stop the bombing on Kaho'olawe as well as you know, TMT. So I thought the phrase kapu aloha, you might hear it, and here's what it is defined as. And I think, in all the conduct that we carry ourselves, just like how the Aloha Spirit Law is in place. It's a good reminder that there are uh, sort of sort of a basis for how we continue to conduct ourselves in the activities that we pursue. So I wanted to share that with you. Kapu aloha. All right. Okay. So with that, we have a pretty good agenda today, and I had an opportunity to chat with Gordon, and just so that people have a little bit of context, you know, in a way, Gordon kind of got me going on this path that I pursued with the intersection of government and technology, and it sort of started back in the day when Gordon was the CIO over at the city and county of Honolulu. And with with his role over there, he actually came on the radio show to talk about things like Code for America and kind of the time when open data and civic tech and innovation was really kind of a prime activity. And so, Gordon and I have kept in touch over the years, and he recently published a book that I had him on the radio show to talk about. And so I wanted to have Gordon share a little bit about um, Dragons at the Gate, and Gordon, feel free to add any introduction that I might have missed, and please proceed to share your newly published, book on that's available on Amazon, and I'll put that link, in the chat here so people can check it out.
Thanks, Bert. How much time do I have?
Uh, maybe 15 minutes.
Oh, that's a lot. Okay. Well, I've looked at the list of all the potential attendees to this meeting, and I have to admit there's a lot of old acquaintances on that list, people I've worked with over the years in the private sector, and in when my stint in 8 years with the city and county, and my 16 years with Campbell Estate, and 8 years with Queens and such. So it was nice to see some of those listening to all of you. Thanks again for helping me make my career as much fun as it was, because it wasn't for all of you, I wouldn't be here today. I didn't go away. I've been still working. I have my company, GJB and Associates, has been around since 2015. We were bought 3 years ago by a Native Hawaiian organization called the Manaka Ike Bruce Ohana Foundation, which was founded by my grandson. So my grandson is now my boss. So I work for him. Now, is that a trip or what, right?
Yeah.
So he was calling me last night, as a matter of fact, wanted to know where certain things were. So anyway, the firm that was created has grown over the years, and we focus a lot in the areas of cybersecurity, particularly for defense contractors who have to meet federal requirements for cybersecurity now, one of which went on hold yesterday, which is going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. The requirement didn't go away, but how it gets administered is being looked at to change it. So for that side of the house, we help a lot of DoD contractors try to meet the federal contract requirements for cybersecurity. There's, depending on what you do, anywhere from 17 to 110 cybersecurity practices need to be put into place by DoD contractors. There's 300,000 DoD contractors in the nation, of which less than 20% qualify in the cybersecurity space, which is kind of scary. In addition to that, we ourselves are DoD contractors. So we do a lot of work for the Department of War / Department of Defense. So we have to comply with the federal laws when it comes to that. So in addition to having to comply, we help clients comply. That resulted in me thinking about this over the past number of years. It's been 5 years as it's been maturing and growing, and less than 20% of the nation's DoD contractors meet the cybersecurity requirements to protect the nation. And there's been numerous documented hacks that have happened over the years. One of the famous ones is a fighter jet that the Chinese now have that is almost an exact replica of our fighter jet. And they produced it in less than 10 years. And by hacking two organizations, a two-person company in Australia, who were responsible for designing the helmet for the pilots, and the Navy. They hacked the Navy and got all the drawings and everything related to that particular fighter jet, and were able to produce it. And I won't go down the list of all the other pieces of equipment they've created over the years, ranging from submarine technology to aircraft technology and everything in between that has happened in there. So that was the stimulation for me to put something together in a book format that DoD contractors could get to their senior executives to get them aware of what is required by law. But to make it so something that they could read in a really short period of time. The book is less than 100 pages long. It has 3 distinct sections. One section, the first section, talks about actual hacks that have happened since 2022 all the way up to current. The second section explains all the different things that the contractors must do to be compliant under the federal law and what will happen if they don't, including losing contracts or being fined up to triple damages on a contract. For example, if a federal contractor submits a false report, it's called a spur score, to the federal government and bills the federal government, and someone whistleblows on them, they could be fined up to triple damages and lose the contract. There was an $11 million fine just last month, went out to a small contractor who filed a claim, got paid, and a former disgruntled employee filed a complaint to the Fed and resulted in them losing a contract, $11 million fine, which the whistleblower got 1/3 as for whistleblowing. So that's another industry that started. Then the third part of the book, which was kind of my favorite to write, was these are actual hacks that have happened. These are real. They are documented. And I put a little story behind each one on how I thought it happened and who did it. There may be, documentation out there available that will support what I said, but the facts are real. The stories or the individuals in the stories are fictional. And again, each one of those are little 10-minute to 15-minute reads. So you don't have to read the book from cover to cover. But it's something that you can give to your senior execs and such to even make them aware. They do not have to be in the DoD space. These are hacks that have happened to the power grids, water supply systems. One of my favorites is a water supply system where a third party was controlling the amount of chemicals was going into that county's water system. And no one knew. They were doing it for years before it got caught. So those kinds of things, and they exist today. There are 170 countries currently cyber attacking the U.S. today. 170 that I've put us on the radar screen. Anyway, the book is on Amazon. It's Dragons at the Gate. They're in the gate. When I wrote it, they were at the gate. Now they're in the gate. So it's on Amazon. I'm not doing this to make money by any means. You can tell by the pricing, but it's something to alert your team and alert your management of what needs to be done to protect the nation, and we've got to jump on it and stay on it.
You just made one more sale, Gordon.
Yay! Thank you. There goes my profit margins. Yay!
So Gordon, there was I think the story you told me, and I thought there's another one probably in the book about how you can unwittingly sort of plug something in, like like a power supply,
Correct.
and that would inject something into your network, and you would be unaware of it. And
Yep.
your book, and I guess maybe the audience might be for people that are in medium-sized businesses, but I think there's a lot to be said for small nonprofits that are perhaps unaware of some of the things that could happen, and what might be the impact. Let's say if you become a let's say you become a DoD contractor, you have some obligations to actually go through the list of things that you listed as ways to sort of certify and make sure that you're actually compliant.
Right. And there's a lot of DoD contractors who are nonprofits. SBA, small businesses, Native Hawaiian organizations, Native Alaska organizations, minority-owned groups. They are all DoD contractors, many of them handling controlled unclassified information, which requires you to implement 110 controls, and 320 objectives have to be documented and met. That puts people into cardiac arrest when you see it takes years to get this done. Just the evidence alone is burdensome. It's 18 months to get the 110 practices in place if you got someone dedicated to full time. And when you're a small shop with 5 employees, how do you find one person to walk you through that? Now, here's one other thing. If you're using a managed service provider, like a third party, and you yourself, your company has controlled unclassified information, that third party must meet the 110 practices. So if you've got, your IT guy as a friend you've had from the family for the last 20 years, that individual will have to become certified and have all those 110 practices in place for their one-person shop.
Mm-hmm.
And what's on hold right now is the assessment, a third-party assessment. But a third-party assessment is over 6 figures. So you imagine a one-person shop that has to have a third-party assessment for $100,000, and they've got one client. What are they going to do? They're not going to support that client. And I've come across that where their IT guy said, "I'm not doing it. Sorry, you're going to have to find someone else to do your IT work because I'm not going to spend the time and money to implement those 110 practices on my one-person shop. Just not going to do it."
So do you have advice to people who perhaps are small and not have the immediate resources to do some of these assessments?
Well, and Bert, I'm going to give you credit for this from last week when we talked about the Broadband Hui, and I'm thinking, maybe we need to come up with a consortium of some type where we can get all of these small companies together and as a group come up with a way that we can get a lot of this implemented. I've written a lot of tools over the years to help us do it. I make them available for my clients. So things that normally took 6 months for them to do, they can now do it in 1 day. But they have to bite the bullet and agree that they're going to use the 100 policies and procedures that I wrote, the 300-page system security plan that I wrote, and adjust the way their company operates in order to ease the burden of 18 months to get there.
Yeah.
So,
I saw the chat post that Nick from Imua Onipa'a posted. Nick, you wanna say anything? I mean, there is definitely a an audience for what you're describing, Bruce, because from a small business standpoint, there probably is not a whole lot of resources. I was gonna bring us even to a smaller, let's say, audience. Not it's a big audience, but it's a smaller resource audience, like Kupuna, as individuals that don't know what to expect in terms of phishing attacks and various other scams, which I know you don't necessarily cover in your book, but from a small business, from a nonprofit, maybe there's something that could be brought together. And Nick, you wanna say anything? I don't know if he's looking for his mute button. Okay, well, he might come on. Um, so Gordon, I mean, a consortium, how would you suggest that something like that could actually
that's
take
where I've
place?
got to sit and noodle this thing out. I'm just, um, the consortium can certainly help, but then what you have to do to your IT infrastructure, as an example, those are costs that you have to look at incurring. And are there ways to reduce those costs by enclaving certain things? That's possible. But I just haven't been able to come up with the perfect mix. How will it
Mm-hmm.
fit
Mm-hmm.
together? I really don't know. We can get together and talk about it, and we can share documentation and things that we've done to implement the tools to get things in place. That can certainly help to reduce if people are willing to share. I mean, that becomes the key. Some people are not willing to share. I mean, if you spend the time writing 100 policies and procedures, do you really want to give these away? I mean, you can buy them online for $10,000 and up. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to spend the money, but again, a small company wanting to do that, an SSP, oh, that's $4,500 out of the gate per year, and that's the least expensive one. And
Well, I'm
so,
just, yeah, I hear you.
yeah,
I hear you. And those barriers can be sometimes insurmountable. So how do we kind of collectively help reduce that barrier?
yeah. I mean, to implement one practice, for example, 3.1.1, there are almost 20 objectives that have to be met just to implement that one practice. And I think that includes technological changes in your architectures and system, along with operational changes in how you run. Simple things like when you have visitors, do you have an access? Do you have a sign-in sheet? Do you have badges? Do all your employees have badges? Yeah, it'd be a two-person shop. We don't have badges.
Hmm.
Sorry,
Hmm.
you're required under the law to have badges. And that's the kind of thing. Doors
Hmm.
have to be um, controlled, monitored. Reports have to be produced to show who went into what doors. You can't print CUI in a common printer in the middle of the office. Wait, we share a printer. Oh, that changes. You got to, for CUI, you've got to put it somewhere else, or you've got to put codes on your printers, and all these different things have to go into place.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's onerous for the
And Gordon,
small
what
guy.
was CI? What does CUI stand for?
Controlled unclassified
Ah,
information.
okay.
So most contracts from the Fed have FCI, federal contract information. You have that, you have to be compliant at level 1 of CMMC. Next level is controlled unclassified information. You have to be compliant at level 2. Then there's level 3 when you're really getting into like ITAR, weapons type
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
situations. And that moves up to level 3, which is a really huge hurdle to get there.
No,
Um,
Gordon, when you talk about the Fed, are you limiting the Fed as DoD, or does this apply to other Fed agencies?
Other federal agencies are putting these clauses in their contracts.
I see. I see.
There's,
Okay.
there's, they're starting to show up in non-DoD contracts. So
Hmm.
finance contracts, healthcare contracts, um,
Hmm.
nuclear contracts, uh, waste disposal contracts,
What
those
about
kinds of things.
what about things like AI contracts?
Oh, look at the fun that Claude's been having with the federal government over the past months and those contracts. So it's it's your contract managers in your office. They've got to look for these clauses. If they show up, the biggest worry I would for the small contractor for me is if you bill and you're not compliant, that's the False Claims Act, which has
Hmm.
been around
Hmm.
for 2 years and getting a lot of traction. AT&T's been fined. The big players have been fined. Small players have been fined. So
Any questions for Gordon? I've been asking all the questions.
again, I suggest you read the book. You can get it on Kindle or you can get the hard copy of it. Um, the book really kind of gives you some insights. A little short section on contract management and what you're expected to do. It's a good starting point for understanding what is required of you. Not only if you're a DoD contractor, if you're just for your own business. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I
mean,
would.
and that's worth the price of the book, just to kind of read through some of the lists that you provided, that you might want to, you might want to start to put in place in your organization. Hey, Sean, I see your hand up.
Hey, I just wanted to thank Gordon for the sharing the knowledge. And I had posed a question in the chat, but I'm just curious, are state agencies that work with DoD, are they doing all this compliance as well? Do they need help?
If they are doing federal work and they're handling FCI, which they will be for sure, and or controlled unclassified information, they are required by law to meet that requirement, those requirements. Now, are they doing it? My phone's not ringing off the hook for help. So, and there's more than me out there helping people do this. So, I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, we'll have sort of an off call conversation, and I know there's some people that might be interested. So, Gordon, we'll definitely keep in touch and see if there's ways that we can pull something together.
Yeah, and go ahead and provide my email in the chat. Anyone wants to just ask some basic questions. I've got a lot of documentation that I'm more than happy to share. So my goal is we have to protect the nation.
Sounds good. Thanks, Gordon. Appreciate it. And you're more than welcome to stick around. We've got some
Oh,
other.
I am. I'm hanging around. Thanks a lot.
Okay, sounds good. Now, let's see. We've got another special guest, and Roger's been a regular on the Broadband Hui for quite a while, and Roger, wanted to welcome you back to the Broadband Hui, and want to give you the floor to chat about some of the things that are impacting your business.
Well, we just, this one is more of an announcement than anything else. We have lots changing in the world as the cable fees decline over time, and we've at Olelo have been finding other streams of revenue to support us as we continue to go forward. My announcement is that, and I see that I think Janine is on, is that the franchise renewal for Hawaiian Tel, that meeting is happening next week, Wednesday, for people who are interested. And I just put into the chat the link to that hearing notice if anyone's interested in participating. I'm not taking any position on that except to say that by and large, I would say Hawaiian Tel has been a good partner with us in doing the work we do. So I commend them for that. But I did want to let you know that is happening, and it will, I can't tell you where exactly, but I believe we will also be shooting that event. And so it should be available on our cable channel as well as on our app and our website. But that is still getting arranged at the moment. But I'll certainly shoot that information to you, Bert, if you can relay it along when that becomes available.
Yeah, please let me know, because obviously there's so many things going on, and if there's a easy way to share that info, I'm happy to do so, but it doesn't necessarily pop up on my, my feed per se.
Right.
And really,
And as
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
well, I was just going to say, and Bert, I'll probably be participating more often. I mean, there was a pause there when all the things changed in the BEAD federal world. But I'm going to try to get onto the Hui a little more often than I was recently, just because I think there's opportunity now to try to make sure there's more connectivity statewide.
Okay, sounds good. Any questions for Roger?
Roger, I added another link in the chat, basically, because folks who are interested, the DCCA Cable Division has a whole page with the application, the public hearing notice. The thing that personally I would hope people would pay attention to is part of the process that the state uses is called a community needs ascertainment. What does the Hawaii community need? And then the regulator is required really to evaluate the application relative to the established level of needs. And that's the negotiation space for the regulator historically anyway. So anyway, I just wanted to note, I shared the link to the collection of those background documents that anybody wants to go in the weeds.
And thank you, everyone. I have another call that's binging me right now. And so I appreciate you all being on today. Gordon, I think I likely will be reaching out to you on some of our partners that could probably at least have a good conversation with you about this.
Gordon, you're on mute.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It'd be my absolute pleasure.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thanks, Roger. Now, Nick, are you back?
I am back. I'm so sorry about that.
Your timing is impeccable.
Awesome.
Hey, you look a little clean shaven or maybe trimmed.
Much thinner. I was at the Gordon level not that long ago, so I feel like my face is much smaller now for some reason.
Do you feel 10 pounds lighter?
I feel 20 pounds lighter, and I don't have any musubi or rice stuck in the beard anymore, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, you can carry your mule around. Okay, well, I wanted to have Nick. Well, Nick, I mean, you might want to, since Gordon is still on, I mean, do you have some ideas on how this idea of supporting small businesses and small nonprofits in the cyber arena?
Yeah,
What some
100%.
ideas you have?
That certification is key. And whether you have kind of escorts with those like the DoD contracts, the opportunity there's a lot for our community. And when we look at workforce development and higher pay, I look at that opportunity as how can we, look at coalitions. That certification is so expensive and so difficult. But are there ways that we can do that in a more coordinated effort? To upskill more and more people, right? We try, I'm a former Marine myself. We try to bring back veterans that have security clearance, et cetera, to get them upskilled in those areas. But I think that, when we look at, the broadband and accessibility, whether that's infrastructure or, kind of the software side, being our location, I think that that's a high priority. And we'd definitely like to learn more about how we can leverage that and your skill sets.
Great,
Makes
thanks, Nick.
sense.
So again, Gordon, between Nick and I and others on this call, we'll definitely try to kind of brainstorm what we could bring together, and then maybe we can get a little coalition going.
Yeah, and Bert, just something to add. There's 25,000 DoD contractors in Hawaii alone. 25,000 DoD
Oh yeah,
contractors.
yeah, and I know a handful of
That's a lot of workforce.
nonprofits. Yeah. Okay, great. Now, Nick, um, you being on Maui, and I know this conversation around the broadband Hoike has been discussed, and I was looking for maybe a couple other of your partners. I don't see Katie, but I wanted to give you a chance to kind of give us an update and where things are at, and does the Hui have a role to potentially play in the upcoming broadband Hoike?
Yes, yes, and yes. Got to give a big kudos to Amber, from the broadband office. She's been fantastic. We've been meeting with Cadian, so the broadband Hoike event, which we were, very grateful to be, receiving an award last year on Oahu, is going to be on Maui. We've got the date set for October 7th. We also have our theme that's squared away. It's Aina, Resiliency and the Future of Broadband. That's a pretty broad segment, but when we look at disaster recovery, when we look at kind of the environmental impacts, looking at some experts in that area, that's a big piece of this. And then when we look at, what is the future looking like? There's conversations about, we're 100% enabled. I'm not enabled where I live. I'm on Starlink right now, right? So what does that future look like? We've got the cable landing on Hana. What does that infrastructure and maintenance look like on the horizon? So working with the County of Maui, working with the Broadband Office, which has been fantastic. Imua Onapa'a is supporting that in a few different ways. But with the Broadband Hui, the opportunity to really bring people together for this event, I think is going to be key. I think if there's some opportunities with some presenters that you all might think of as, you might be roped in. And then if there's funding opportunities that we can look at sponsorships, et cetera, for, we as the nonprofit have that capability to be the fiscal sponsor for that as well. So there is a flyer. It should be going out shortly with a save the date, along with just kind of a, hey, sign up here, and we'll get you more details. It will be limited. It's going to be at the University of Hawaii Maui College. There is a conversation whether or not it'll be a 2-day event or a 1-day event, similar to what took place on Oahu. If we can coordinate and have the logistics squared away and get some support from the last organizers, we could do a visit, potentially a couple of visits one day, maybe some scholarships for flights and hotels, and then, the full kind of agenda and working groups on the 7th. And Bert, just a seed to plant with you, the conversation did come up about, the event that you've got going on in September about building the devices. maybe some workshops and explanation of that, when we look at that resiliency piece for our communities. So happy to answer any questions. I'll drop my email in the chat as well, and just appreciate the opportunity to kind of talk story. And kudos again to the broadband office. Amber's been great with the County of Maui as well.
Hey, Nick, it's Gordon. If I can just add, sorry, Bert, I want to just
No, go
jump
ahead.
in here.
Yep.
The Monica Ike Bruce Ohana Foundation, we fund these types of events. As a matter of fact, we did one on Molokai last year, a gaming programming event. And they had, I think, almost 40 individuals from Molokai show up to that. And it was a partnership with the University of Hawaii and us. And we
Awesome.
helped fund part of that program. So go to the Monica Ike Bruce Ohana Foundation website and check out the applications are right there. And then we fund multiple programs per year.
Brilliant.
So
well, I would love to chat. Yeah. Sorry.
yeah. So Gordon, can you drop that in the chat?
Sure.
And I wish I knew about it when the previous broadband Hoike were going on.
Well, we're just starting up. It's only been around for a couple of years.
Okay. No, that sounds good. Now, so Nick, what is your sense of not only the theme, but what kinds of sessions are you leaning toward, or is it too early to tell?
I mean, don't hold anything. I would say this is embargoed, right? Things will change. The conversations that are taking place right now is, what are some of the stream monitoring systems and broadband access and agricultural food security type things? Like how is broadband and that accessibility being leveraged in those areas? With the disaster impacts that we've had, with the loss of the infrastructure in Lahaina, what are some ways for resiliency to be prepared for, right? Like some redundancies that can take effect in the broadband area. And I think there's conversations about the massive infrastructure build that's taken place with that funding. Well, what happens after that? What's the maintenance look like? How might that look? So having some experts that understand how that cable landing is being implemented, and then the experts from Hawaii Telecom and others, and then maybe even conversations about what does that community input look like, right? Like how is this not monopolized? How can we leverage this to get more funding for X, Y, and Z in the future, right? So those are the conversations that are taking place right now. Once again, embargoed. We don't know where those conversations will go. It's really the county and the broadband office that it's their decisions. We're just kind of being a support network for that here in Maui.
Okay. In terms of funds, do you need any funds, or does this look like it's pretty well heeled?
Funds are always needed. I come from the nonprofit sector, so there's always opportunities to do that. When there is some county funding for the event in their budget. Mind you, it's an election year, so you can only spend so much based on how all of those things take place. And with those kind of procurement and requirements with county and state funds, what that can be used for can be minimalized. So travel, hotels, some of that's not, really under that budget. But food is, and the location is, and the bus, if we want to transport people. So if there are any sponsorship opportunities, that would be, hugely, hugely appreciated. We do know it's on short notice. We've only got about 3 months away. So yeah, that would be a great opportunity. So we can ensure that we can bring people from outer islands and even transportation round trip from remote areas here in Maui as well.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, appreciate that, Nick. I want to also, Nick, I mean, how do you want to have others involved with your planning meetings, or you guys are pretty well in terms of organized recurring
That's
meetings for the
great
Hoike?
question. I think if there are some people that are hungry, we've got NAM that's coming on board and supporting. It's always good. We've got a really strong core group of individuals, but some working group sponsorships, coordination, any help that we can get, we would greatly appreciate. I did put my email in the chat. Love to connect with you. Maybe there's a meeting that you want to focus on for coordinating the offsites. Maybe there's a meeting or a relationship that someone has with a local hotel, anything like that. I'm always about tapping into the experiences and resources about people that want to support. Sean, your knowledge on, kind of the community feedback loop, right? I think there's opportunities there that we can plug and chug. But I'll be fully transparent. The smaller people that you have in the core group to organize, the less
Mhm.
8-hour meetings that you have to decide what color something is. So I just want to, be transparent on those things.
No, appreciate that. Okay, well, we know that it's going to happen, and I'm happy to see you at the helm of the Broadband Hui on Maui. And yeah, let's I have some ideas on maybe the portable network kit, or we can do a little side demo of that, and perhaps do it under the context of kind of disaster preparedness and resilience.
Brilliant. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, mahalo, Nick. Okay, well, moving on with our agenda, I wanted to give some fair time to Cindy, who's got an interesting presentation coming up pretty quick, right? I mean, and it's called Trust as Infrastructure. And typically you don't think of you think of fiber and cables and the hardware that makes the infrastructure. But Cindy from PBTRC, share your thoughts on trust as infrastructure.
You check the chat. She had to jump to another call. I don't know if she's back,
Oh,
but sorry, she put a note in the chat.
oh, okay. I'm gonna have to find the link to her. In fact, I think she might have sent it out to the Hui. Um, Somebody could pull that up.
Yeah, it's in the chat. She put the link to the register to her Trust as Infrastructure, the Human Foundation of Sustainable Telehealth Programs. I think that's the date. But,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
she put that in the chat, just so you know, Bert.
okay, no problem. All right, so with that, I did want to just sort of bring to everyone's attention that we are doing a couple of activities coming up in late August, early September. One is a portable network kit that Nick mentioned. We only have 15 slots, so they're getting pretty full. And what we're looking for are people that are trained. So this is kind of a train the trainer session, and the people that are trained can then take it out to their communities and support the capacity building for community broadband networks. So that's what the portable network kit training is about. That's happening on the August 31st, the Monday, and it will go through Thursday. And then on the Friday, we have a symposium that's taking place, and that's going to be on Oahu, in Mililani, and that one is open to everybody who signs up. It's part of this whole week is part of the Honolulu Tech or Hawaii Tech Week. So if you're able to participate, we've got the event on Friday, and if you are interested as being a trainer, we have the portable network kit. So that's kind of what we have, and I'm more than happy to uh, share more about it. If anybody's interested, feel free to get in touch with me, and I can get into some of the details as to what we're thinking. Um, any other items that people want to chat about? I see some folks that Mark, how you doing? Are you back in Hawaii yet? Hey, Sean. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Mark.
No, I'm still trying. Still in the Bay Area.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah. Still trying.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
anything we can do to help and get you over here.
You're in the fog then, huh? We got to get you back. Bert, I just wanted to pose a quick question. I see Micah is on the call, and I've been reading some reports recently about NTIA sort of adjusting the territories that qualify for the different allocations of funding for, in particular, I guess they're seeing more sites getting landline connections, so they're shrinking the footprint of the LEO eligibility for LEO satellites. So that was a very narrow question, but I don't know if Mike has any other updates for us. I'm sort of posing Dan's question here for him.
Hello. It's been a while that I've been on, but good to see everyone. Yeah, I can talk a little bit about Sean's question with the LEO. So what Sean is referring to is that NTIA sent out guidance recently that they were going to essentially try to reduce the spend on the LEO because what the LEO has to do is reserve a certain amount of like capacity, right, on their networks to then serve all the BSLs that are in their lists. And so I guess it's been maybe like 4 versions of the NTIA fabric since the final proposal was kind of like locked in. And so NTIA basically wanted to update the lists that the states have had to make sure that the money that is going to the LEOs are, I guess, not going to sites that don't exist. So what that means for Hawaii basically is, yes, we did get an analysis from NTIA about what they saw on which LEO sites either got taken off the fabric or have become served since our final proposal. Served meaning that like either fiber or cable or fixed wireless already covers that location. And so there's about like 200 locations that we were given. And right now we're in the process of vetting that list to make sure that NTI's analysis is correct. And then essentially, if we agree with some of those determinations, then they would come off the LEO providers list. In this case, it's Amazon, which means they would be getting less money because there's less capacity that they need to reserve, right? And that is a good thing because that means, that money could be going towards something else, maybe non-deployment related. And yeah, we want to have accurate maps. And so, yeah, we're currently in the vetting process for that. I hope that answers your question.
So, Micah, does that mean that if the potential that serviceable location came off the LEO list, does that imply that there's going to be fiber run to that location?
No, it doesn't imply that. So that's a good nuance. So coming off the list, meaning that NTA has basically analyzed to see like what locations might not be an actual like home. So maybe it was a tree or an empty field, or it's not even like a mass market service. So it's like a CAI. And so they're basically trying to uh, clean up the list so that the total amount of reservation isn't going towards things like that, like trees and things. So if it's tree, we wouldn't want to put fiber to the tree as well.
Right, right.
Right.
Well, unless there's a Wi-Fi antenna on the tree that needs a fiber backhaul.
Well, maybe there's a tree house.
Oh, and then I see, Sean, your question, 200 less out of, so there's about 1,200 sites that were in our final proposal for LEO.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mike. I guess I just want to note that I guess the general trend under the NTIA, under this administration, has been to reduce qualified sites and eligible funding, right? So my impression is the state has had to sort of do what you can to capture as much of that federal funding for Hawaii. I guess that's one lens to look at it through. And the other is to comply with all these changing orders that you're getting from and changing directives from NTIA. So
Yeah,
that's my impression, but thanks for helping.
yeah, it's not a bad thing what they're trying to
Mm.
do with telling us to like, hey, can you trim down maybe the Leo amount? Um, because yeah, when they were doing the RFP, right, they were looking at just basically the entire state across all 50 states. And so they maybe didn't have like enough time, likely didn't have enough time to do the due diligence. So this is sort of like that due diligence to make sure that we're using the funds to its maximum. And Hawaii is minimally impacted compared to other states, from what I've heard, where like some of the LEO sites I think got cut in half.
Mm.
Yeah.
And when you say cut in half, NTIA was able to pretty much discern that those were not, let's say, homes or, legitimate dwellings.
Yeah, I mean, that's according to their analysis. Like I said, we're vetting it,
Hmm.
and I'm already looking at some of the locations that they said, oh, this is not, this should be taken off the list. And I'm like, no, that actually looks like a home. So we have to say of whether
Mm-hmm.
we agree with that and then ultimately submit like to NTIA, um, like, okay, here's the list that we'll take off. And we're being judicious about it because once we take it off the list, we can't put it back on.
Right, right, right.
So we'd rather be more on the conservative side and be like, okay, if it does look like it is a house, maybe we'll just keep it on for Amazon to verify.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to clarify because my impression is actually that most of those disqualified sites were actually became served by wireline providers during the time because it's taken so much time for the process to unfold. But is that not your impression, Micah? Or maybe that's not a Hawaii thing, but maybe that's true elsewhere?
It's true in Hawaii. Uh, that's a smaller amount, I would say.
Okay, so maybe half of those 100 are places that actually got built to in the meantime.
Yeah, we're still looking to see to confirm, but yeah, according to NTIA, there's like a good chunk of locations that got served. And when I say verify, meaning I'm gonna go to like Hawaiian Telcom's website and check that if I plug in this address, I can actually sign up for service. So that's the level of like granularity that we're trying to vet this list that NTIA is providing us.
Gotcha. But Bert, to your point, I guess just to be clear, it wasn't that those weren't real locations. It was, I think, in the majority of cases that they got service in the
Mm.
meantime.
Well, yeah,
And so
that's
it's a moving target, right?
right.
So I think to Micah's point, it's a good faith effort to try to do the right thing, but it's a moving landscape. Things are
Mm-hmm.
changing.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it. Hey, appreciate it, Micah, for jumping on and fielding a question that was somewhat spontaneous, but you did a great job. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
And don't be a stranger. You're welcome to join us anytime.
Thanks, Bert.
All right. Let's see. Any other items to cover before we adjourn the 274th?
I put in the chat, there's a HPR, the conversation program on at 11 o'clock today about the Hawaii media landscape that might interest folks on the Hui.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's not
No,
broadband specific, but it's about what's local media look like in Hawaii nowadays, and should OHA have a TV station and stuff like that.
yeah, no, good point. And the observation was that I think OHA and KITV weren't on that panel, right? Or not. So, and then the other thing that I posted on the agenda was an article that came out on Bill 170 that is being heard in Hawaii County on data centers. And Sean, I did contact Heather Kimball, and she's interested in coming on. So I'll probably have her maybe in August sometime. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for that.
She's a council member, or she's the chair. I forget what I know she's a council member, but
Yeah,
excellent.
and I think she was very instrumental in introducing that particular bill, which calls out data centers, but there is a power budget that they are looking at, which, if it's under 20 megawatts, then I think it's viable. But what they're trying to do is protect against these hyperscalers that could potentially go into the Big Island. Okay, so with that, let me go ahead and put up our closing slide here. And again, I want to thank everybody for joining us on the 274th Broadband Hui. Appreciate your continued support and conviction to learn about what's going on with broadband and digital equity, digital inclusion in Hawaii. And we aim to, continue to provide this service to all and provide, some of the not only contacts, but events and activities that are going on that might help to kind of raise the awareness of, the digital economy and how we continue to help build this digital pilina. So with that, our next meeting will take place on August 5th, which is a Wednesday. And stay tuned. I'll be putting together the agenda. And if you have any suggestions on things to cover, happy to include that into our agenda. So if there's nothing else, I want to thank you all for joining us. And in the meantime, you all stay safe and stay awesome. Aloha, everybody.